Hello everyone, welcome to Alistair channel and another tutorial in Flutter. I'm planning to create a playlist for building a car rental app, and in the first video of this playlist, I want to implement the onboarding screen for this app. As you can see, the screen I'm going to implement has already been designed in Figma. The onboarding screen, also known as the introduction screen, is usually shown only once when the app is first launched. It provides a general overview of the app and its features, and after that, it's not shown again. Alright, let's get started and implement this in Flutter. First, I'll create a new Flutter project and name it Car Rental App. And I'll go through the necessary settings to set up the project. Now I'll create a directory for project's assets and add the required font to it. The font used in this project is called Poppins. Then I'll add the image I exported from the Figma design. There are 4 images that will be used in the 4 section of the onboarding screen. After that, I'll go to the main project directory and create a directory called core. This will contain the global files for the project. And then I'll create another directory called features, where the main features of the project will be stored. And inside the core directory, I'll create 3 more directories. One for themes, one for utilities, and one for global widgets. Now I go to the features directory and create the onboarding feature. Inside this feature, I'll create 2 directories, data and presentation. Inside the presentation directory, I'll create 3 more directories, blog, screen, and widgets. Alright, now I'll go to the theme directory and create a Dart file called colors.dart. I'll add the necessary colors for the project. For now, I only need a primary color and a white color. Then I'll create another file for project's dimensions and add the required variables. This will be used for spacing and making the project responsive. Next, I'll go to the utils directory and create a file to check the device size the app is running on. I'll add 4 methods to check different device sizes. Now I'll open the PubSpec file, remove the commands, and add the necessary packages. In this project, I'll use the plug package for the app's logic. I'll also add other packages for displaying SVG files and managing assets. Then I'll add the configuration for the Flutter package and specify that the output file should be created inside the core directory. Then at the end of the pubspec file, I'll add the fonts and images. And then I run the flutter pubget command to fetch the packages. After that, I'll run the build runner command to generate the necessary files for the Flutter package so we can use them later. As you can see, the required files have been generated by the package. Alright, now I'm going to the widgets folder and creating a new file to display SVG files. I'll import the material package and the Flutter SVG package. Next, I'll create a stateless widget and add the necessary parameters to it. Very well, let's implement the build method now. I'll use the SVG picture.assets widget from the Flutter SVG package and pass the required parameters like width, height, colors, and box width. Since the color and box width parameters are optional, I'll also handle cases where they might be null. Now I'll go to the screen directory and create a file for the onboarding screen. Then I'll import the material package and create a stateless widget. After that, I go to the main file and remove the extra comments. I set the project title and hide the debug mode banner. And then I set the mode and the main color of the project. And then I also set the brightness to dark. And then I also set the project font family. And I temporarily set the onboarding screen as home. And then I run the project. Now I go to the data directory. I create a new directory for local data and create a new file for sample data. And I put the required data in it. Because this is an educational project, I do it this way. You can use other structures for the text of your project, such as multilingual structures. After the text, I'll create a list of images needed for onboarding screen and add the images I previously added to the project. Now let's build the onboarding screen. I'll create a scaffold widget and add an up bar with a close button inside it. Oh, I'm sorry. And I'll implement the onPress method for the close button later. Then inside the body, I'll add a save area and a PageView.builder widget. I'll add the necessary parameters like item count and item builder. PageView.builder is a powerful and flexible widget in Flutter that allows you to create a list of scrollable pages dynamically. It's very useful for things like a gallery app or onboarding app or etc. Inside the page view, I'll add a single child scroll widget and inside it, I'll add a column to hold the image and text in a vertical layout. And inside the column, I'll add a container and place the images inside it. To make the image responsive and avoid issues on larger screens, I limit the image width on mobile-sized screens. App Switch Viewer widget, and I call image list. I add margin to top. If check very small device size is equal true, image size is equal size dot width. Else diamonds dot small device breakpoint. And fit parameter is equal to bike's fit dot fit width. Now I refresh the project and you can see the result so far. Very well. Let's implement the onboarding titles and descriptions according to the design. I'll go to the widgets directory and create a new file. Inside it, I'll import the material package. Then I create a stateless widget and add a position parameter to it. Now I'll create a column widget and add a text widget for the title with the required styling. Style is equal to text style. Font size is equal to 30. Font family is equal to font family dot Poppins bold. And the color is equal to primary color. And text text align is equal to text align dot center. Now I also add a text widget for the description with necessary styles. Font size is equal to 20. Font family is equal to Poppins regular. And color is equal to white color. And I add some spacing between the text widgets using value from the dimensions file. Now I'll go back to the onboarding screen and import the widgets I created for the title and description. I'll pass the position parameter and add some spacing. I refresh the project and you can see the result. Now let's build the bottom section of the screen according to the design. I'll create a new file in the widgets folder and then import the material package. Then I'll create a stateless widget and add a position parameter to it. Now I'll add a container widget with a height of 80 and give it horizontal and vertical padding. Inside the container, I'll start by implementing the previous button. If the user is on the first page, the previous button won't be shown, and an empty size box will be placed instead. And if the user is on the other page, the previous button will be shown. Then I'll add the size box widget with a height of 12 to hold the progress indicator. The progress indicator is a horizontal indicator with 4 dots, each representing a page of the onboarding. I'll implement the progress indicator inside the list.view.builder widget and style it accordingly. Physics is equal to never scroll physics, and scroll direction is equal to axis.horizontal. And now I implement the item builder. Alright, the condition is that if index less than or equal to position, the dot will be displayed in the primary color. Otherwise, the dot will be displayed in the white color. And border radius is equal to border radius dot circular dimensions dot corners. After finishing the progress indicator, I'll implement the next button. If the user is on the last page, the button text will be changed to enter. Otherwise, it will shown next. Now I'll go back to the onboarding screen and add the widget I created to the bottom sheet parameter of this scaffold. I refresh the project and you can see the results so far. The bottom sheet has a default color, but as you can see in the design, we don't need this color. So I'll go to the main.dart file and remove the default color. Bottom sheet theme is equal to bottom sheet theme data, and background color is equal to background color colors.transparent. I refresh the project again and you can see the result. Now let's implement the logic for the buttons and progress indicator. For this, I'll use a Cubit for state management. You can also use other state management solutions like Provider or Getix. I create an onboarding Cubit class and add the state and add the page controller and position variables. And I also import the page controller variable. Now I'll go to the Cubit class and add the created state to it. And I'll initialize the position with 0. Alright, let's implement the required methods. First, I'll create a method called onPreviousPressed. This method will be called when the user clicks the previous button. Using state.pageController.onPreviousPage, the user will be navigated to the previous page. The animation duration is equal 500 milliseconds and the curve is fade out slowing, which makes the animation smoother. Next, I'll create a method called onNextPressed. This method will be called when the user clicks the next button. Now I create another method called go to specific position. This method will be called when the user clicks on one of the progress indicator dots. Finally, I'll dispose of the page controller to free up resources. Now, I'll go back to the onboarding screen file and create a new stateless widget to provide the Cubit. I wrap the block provider around the onboarding screen and pass the required parameters, including the onboarding Cubit. Then I create read and watch variables and pass the page controller from the Cubit stage to the page view. Controller is equal to watch.state.pageController. Now I'll implement the onPageChange method to sync the position parameter with the current page. Now I'll go back to the Cubit class and I'll create a new method called onPageChange. This method will sync the position parameter with the current page in the page view. And I call the method I created and pass the position parameter to it. Now in the widgets we created earlier, we don't need to pass the position parameter manually anymore. We can get it from the Cubit. So I'll remove the position parameter and use the state management structure instead. I'll create watch variable and instead of position, I use watch.state.position. I'll do same for the button widgets and replace the position parameter with a state management structure. Now I create a read variable and pass the methods we created for the previous, next, and progress indicator buttons to their respective unpressed events. First, previous button, then the next button, and finally the progress indicator. I'll refresh the project and you can see the results. And for this, border radius is equal to border radius dot circular diamonds dot corners. All right. Now let's animate our onboarding screen. For this, I'll use the animate to package. I go to the PubSpec file and add the required package. Then I run the Flutter PubGet command. I go back to the onboarding screen and wrap the image widget with the fade in down widget from the animate to package. And then delay is equal to duration milliseconds parameter is equal to 100. And then I'll do same for the title and description widget. Fading down and delay is equal to duration milliseconds parameter is equal to 300. I reload the project and you can see the final result. And that's it. We've successfully implemented the onboarding screen for our car rental app. If you have any question or need further explanations, feel free to ask in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Flutter tutorials. See you in the next video.